behalf of the City of Elmhurst and the Elmhurst Economic Development Commission, I want to welcome you to our Makers and Shakers 2023 Entrepreneur Series event. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a beautiful evening, so I hope you take your time after this to network, enjoy some of our food options, dessert options, get your headshots and everything else. My name is Heather Breckus, and I am the Business Development Manager for the City of Elmhurst. I'm new within the last year, so if I haven't met you and you'd like to know who I am, please feel free to introduce yourself. In your beautiful Explore Elmhurst bags that you got, my business card is in there too, so if for some reason we don't connect tonight, feel free to reach out. After a few years hiatus, we are incredibly excited to reintroduce this event and announce that it is now part of an Explore Elmhurst Economic Development series called The Future of Entrepreneurship. In our newly branded Explore Elmhurst bags, you'll find more information on the rest of the series. Our next event is going to be May 4th at Elmhurst Brewing Company, and you'll find more information in there about it. But this event is titled Inclusion and Retention, A Guide to Stronger Staffing. And this event will feature a keynote by Bruce King, Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Elmhurst University, a presentation by the Elmhurst Pride Collective, as well as dinner and networking. This is a free event, so please come to our event. We have 3 more parts in the series. I'd like to take a few moments now to offer a sincere thank you and acknowledgement to those who have helped make this evening happen, our sponsors, volunteers, etc. So the Elmhurst Economic Development Commission, the Community Bank of Elmhurst, Innovation to Page, Allies for Community Business, Bottle Theory Tap Room and Bottle Shop, Crafted Burger Bar and Tap, Carmi Cakes, Dipsy Dessert, Vizzy Studios, the Elmhurst Pride Collective, Elmhurst Public Library, Elmhurst University, Lux Balloon, Howard Law Office, Forge Brand Works, Elmhurst TV, and Waz Productions. Last but not least, I'd like to thank our partner in this event, which is Brew Point Coffee. And now, thank you for that. I'd now like to introduce Melissa Villanueva. And Melissa is a member of the Economic Development Commission for Elmhurst, and she's championed the creation of this event in 2019. She's also the owner and CEO of Brew Point Coffee here in Elmhurst and our host this evening.
Okay, I'm going to try something to see if I can get people to calm down a little bit. So I'm going to whistle. And see if it breaks people's ears a little bit. If everyone can stop what they're doing at sponsored tables and come to the back, or listen in on the keynote at this point. Thank you. So, hello everyone. That kind of helped a little bit. Hi, I see so many familiar faces. This is absolutely wonderful. So you might have heard this story before, but I'm going to talk about it again. So, have you ever looked on Craigslist for an espresso machine only to buy a coffee shop instead? Because that's the story of Brew Point Coffee. 8.5 years ago, me and my 7-month boyfriend, now husband, we found this coffee shop on Craigslist. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't have a business plan. We barely had the finances, but we were really dedicated to getting a little bit better every single day. Fast forward 8.5 years later, now we have 4 coffee shops, a coffee roastery, an event space, and I get to do economic development with the City of Elmhurst. And our story is one that I know that it's difficult to achieve, but it's possible. And it's possible because of the people that you can meet, the connections that you can make over time. Every single sponsor, every single person that's here representing Makers and Shakers has been pivotal to Brew Point's growth, so they can be pivotal to your growth. So make sure to meet at least 3 people you haven't met before and connect, and just as much as you can. You have to put yourself out there to be able to build your business. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Allies for Community Business, Rowan Richards. I want to talk about Allies for a second, because if you've ever tried to get funding for your business when you're very early on, it can be really tough if you don't have those P&Ls and those balance sheets lined up. And so for Brew Point, it took us 3 years before someone was willing to take a shot with us. And that was Allies for Community Business. And so they really put the money where their mouth is in terms of their name. They are truly allies for small businesses that want to grow, that want to be there for the community. And they'll help with funding, with coaching, And specifically, Rowan has been my coach and mentor to build Brewpoint Coffee. So please take this time to not only just listen to what Rowan has to say during his keynote, but ask questions that you're thinking through as you're thinking about building up your business. So without further ado, here's Rowan Richards.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for that unbelievably warm and generous welcome. Thank you, Heather. And I just want to take a minute to give a round of applause to all of the partners and the people that made this event happen. Please. I'm always reminded of why I love the work that I do. And when I hear Melissa talk about that journey, I am humbled that she calls me her coach. Like, I've learned more from Melissa watching what she's done to build this brand than from anything I've personally done in my role. So just excited and honored to be here today to really jump in and lead this conversation around the future of entrepreneurship. So excited. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I hope that today I can help answer some questions, but really just spur on great dialogue for those who are already business owners, current entrepreneurs, or those who are just even considering what it means to start a venture on their own. My goal for tonight is to both share specific insights related to where we are in 2023 and beyond, but also to help provide everyone in this room with a process by which you are able to, for yourselves, develop the skill sets necessary to do those own insights, right? To do that work so that you can identify where you are today and look out a little bit further and see what's next, what's coming, what should I be preparing for? Because at the end of it, that's a lot of the work, right? You're all talented, you're all brilliant people. I have no doubt about that. Some of the challenges sometimes is thinking one or two steps ahead. Thankfully, with groups and organizations that are here today, you have support in that work. So definitely want to encourage you to keep on with it. And tonight we hope to have a great learning experience and obviously a great conversation. So for me and all that, I have a process. And my process for really being able to identify opportunities is built around the idea of past, present, and future. And with that approach, what I mean is we want to be able to learn from our past, operate in the present, and then plan for the future. So that will be kind of our theme on what we're talking about tonight. And please, as I'm talking, I want you to be even thinking about questions so that we can have a really good conversation. So quickly, as Melissa stated, my name is Rowan Richards, and for the last 5.5 years, I've had the privilege of being a director of business coaching for Allies for Community Business. We're a 35-year-old organization based on Chicago's West Side, right at Lake and Kedzie. And what we like to say is that we provide the capital, coaching, and the connections that any entrepreneur needs to be successful. So, and that doesn't matter if you're located at Lake and Kedzie, if you're in DuPage County, or some other area of Illinois or Indiana. We're here to support you. So that starts tonight if we've never met before, and that offer is extended for as long as you're finding value in the work that I'm doing and team members are doing. Amanda Askew's here as well, and she has a table set up in the back, so please find me, find Amanda at some point tonight, and if you have questions, hey, we're here to answer those questions for you. Long before I was a director at Allies for Community Business, also known as A4CB, I was an entrepreneur. That is and always will be how I identified myself. At my heart and my core, I'm drawn to this position because I understand where you are, no matter what stage you're in. I've been at that point where I'm thinking about it. I was considering leaving corporate. I've owned and operated businesses. I've invested. I'm a mentor. And my work today allows me to work with thousands of founders every year. I know your struggle. I know your passions. It's exciting. It's scary. It's all of the above. So all I can do is continue to try to provide best resources and be your cheerleader. I will be your cheerleader all day. If one day all you need is to say, hey, tell me I'm not messing things up, call me. I promise you some days that's all we need to get to that next day, to that next week. So please indulge with me for just a moment. I'm going to walk us through this idea, this theme of past, present, and future. And I'm going to start with past, and I'm going to lean on some of my own personal experiences for that portion. And I'm going to go unnecessarily far back into my past here to share some examples. And I have 3 in particular that I'm going to use. And through that process, I'm not only going to share these examples, but also my takeaways. So I'm going to go way back for a moment, starting in the 4th grade. That was my first venture. Along with 3 other friends, we made the decision that we were qualified to write and sell poetry. Okay, so we did a limited run on poetry, handwritten poetry, and we sold out. We sold out in the playground. So I know, right now you're thinking, oh my gosh, Rowan, this guy is amazing, he must be a great poet. You would be completely wrong. As far as I know, I am very average, like super average on poetry. But what I did learn is that I had some knack and definitely a lot of passion for selling. I loved the experience, so much so that decades later, I'm still telling the story. My takeaway from that experience was a couple of things. One, scarcity can be very good. We did a very limited run. I think we created 10 booklets that were made out of notebook paper, construction paper, handwritten, and some staples, right? That was it. I think we got tired of writing, so that was it. We said 10, that's enough. We sold out, we all walked away with $5 in our pockets, and we were excited. So scarcity's good. I think I partnered with some very popular people, so for whatever reason, we sold out. But it did inspire me to do more. I'm like, this is fun, I love it. So I learned from that experience that selling was something I really loved doing, and it was exciting. And for anyone in this room who's ever been at their first market and made that sale of a product that you made for yourself, you know that feeling. It's invigorating. It's an exciting feeling. Second venture, fast forward maybe 2 years, a paper route. So I secured a paper route in the neighborhood. I sold the Newark, New Jersey Star-Ledger. I had a representative from the paper come into my house, sit at the kitchen table. My parents were there. There was a signing. It was a big deal. And I was so excited. I was about to step out and do my own venture here. I was going to make some, big money. It's going to be fantastic. I think I had 30 houses that I delivered the newspaper to. Sounds great. Only problem is I made 25 cents per household. That is what I made per week. When you do the math, assuming no tips, that's about $7.50 per week that I made. What was wrong with these adults that were in my life at that moment? Why is that okay? $7.50. Now this is a while back, but still, $7.50. If not for a few households that tipped very well, there was no money. Problem is, people didn't always pay you. So you were supported and subsidized by the folks that did tip and did pay on time. My insight from that moment was, and I carry this to this day, know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you're in trouble. You are doomed for failure. If you do know the numbers, and if the numbers don't work out, if the numbers tell you there's no opportunity, there's no opportunity. You will not outwork the numbers. You will not find enough savings to actually make it profitable. Know your numbers, okay? Make sure you know your numbers before you invest all of your time and all of your resources into a venture that just has no chance of working out. Third and final one from the past, shoveling snow. Probably my most lucrative business venture as a young person. And you're young, you didn't have great gear, so you probably can get 3 or 4 households out. That's it. 3 or 4, you gotta get back in the house, you're freezing. So you have to be very selective. Fortunately, my takeaway from my failed venture in the paper route gave me great insights on who tipped well. And those were the houses that we went to. We went right to the people who tipped excellent. 3 or 4, we would make $20 to $25 in an afternoon or in a morning, all good. And what's even better, at least one of those households would give you hot chocolate at the end of the job. So what I learned from that, and something that we all have to remember, is know your customer. Know your customer. Who believes in your brand? Who wants to build with you? There's absolutely a mutual exchange of value there. You're providing great value. They believe in you. They're supporting you by buying your product, by telling 10 people about your product, by reposting, whatever you need them to do. Know your customer and find out what they need and deliver it to them time and time again. Bring them into your process. So those are my takeaways from those early years. I took all of that and many mistakes and some successes, and I've pulled that into what I do today, both as a current business owner, but also in my role as director of business coaching. And it has been very insightful. And I want each of you to build something like that into your own process. You don't have to go back to 4th grade. Think about last week, last year, a month ago. If you've never started a business, think about someone in your family who has, a coworker, or your favorite business that you frequent, like Grouppoint. Learn from people who have already done it, even if it's not been your own experience, and even if it has, make sure that you're continually learning from other people. There's so much that we all can learn on a regular basis. Let's go to the present. So for the present, I want each of us to think about where we are right now. Your current situation, turn that on in your brains. Think about where you are, if you are currently running a business, or if you're thinking about it, this is also applicable. The thought of it is, what do I need to do in the present, right? We learn from our past, we bring that forward. In the present, the things I need to do are the things that are most needed to be done. That's where you need to spend your time. You have ideas. I know you have 50 amazing ideas. They're all great. Keep them. Write them down. You can't do all of them today. What we all, as business owners, need to do is identify the jobs to be done today. What are those 5 or 10 things, and most, that I need to do that are mission critical to my business today so that I can continue to operate and grow? I need a foundation, otherwise those future plans never happen. So what do I need to do today that's most important? So some thoughts and recommendations. Think around, what are my operations of the business, the core operations that makes it function, so that when I do grow, it won't fall apart. If your operations are weak, if you don't know how to operate, how to deliver product, what your processes are, you're gonna eventually run into some challenges. And sales. You should be spending a lot of time around sales, acquisition, new clients, new products, getting things to market. Those two alone can spend the majority of your time. So most of the things to do, jobs to be done, should fall into those buckets. Now, it differs a bit depending on what stage business you're in and the size of your team, right? Depending on your role, if you're a CEO and you have a big team, you can start to focus on some other things. But as you're getting started, those are two very critical things. Keep in mind that we need to focus on retaining existing clients and finding new clients to bring in, right? So those are the areas where you want to most likely be focusing most of your energy when you're getting started, especially when you're early in the business. So think about those jobs to be done. You have to make the choices for yourselves. Again, that's not exactly right for everyone in this room, but it's a good starting point. Regardless of what you choose, pick the ones that are most critical to your business. All right, with that being said, I want to now shift to future. And future is interesting. Present and future is always interesting to me, right? Because present is this doorway to the future that connects the past, and that's what we have. But when we're thinking about the future, we're always evaluating what's available today, but what do we also see happening in the near future? So we could talk at length at probably 20 to 30 different things. I want to speak about a few categories, really about the insights of what we've learned over these last 4 years. We've come out some really difficult times. First of all, round of applause for everyone for surviving Business-wise, you're here, we're back together, super exciting. That itself is an accomplishment, right? We've all kept it together during this time. If you somehow manage to keep a business running, like medals all around, right? Absolutely. When we think about this idea of the future of entrepreneurship, specifically coming out of the pandemic, we're in a whole new marketplace. Like, I'm thinking back I always go back to like 2019. I'm like, man, this is gonna be the year. Businesses are crushing it, and then they all stopped, right? So we couldn't do anything. You survived, some of you thought about starting a business in the middle of a pandemic. Many of you have thought about, hey, now it's time for me to do it. Like, I need to do something different. And I commend everybody for that work. So for today, I really want to focus on about 4 or 5 things, and then we'll lead right into questions. So there was a period during the last 3 years where, for great reasons, municipalities, anywhere from the federal level all the way down to the local level, corporations, philanthropic groups decided, hey, we need to stand up emergency funding for our business community. That was awesome. I mean, our organization was in the middle of a lot of it. We doubled the size of our team just to try to help get money and information on the street, in the hands of business owners, because we were all scrambling. I saw a solidarity around that was remarkable. Fast forward to 2023, a lot of those grant programs that did exist, they don't exist anymore. And that's, in some ways, that's for a good reason, right? We're back to some levels of normalcy around business practices. But at the same time, what we've realized is that businesses still need funding. They need funding of different types to survive. But my encouragement specific around the grant market, especially if you're starting today, if you just started, do not build your business around this idea that there will be long-term, ongoing grant support in that level, okay? That's not a discouragement. This is gonna build you for a stronger business. At the same time, you must stay connected to the opportunities that are out there. If you see an opportunity, go for it, apply for it. Our organization will continue to push information and access to grant capital at the municipality level, at the philanthropic level, wherever, our corporate partners. But based on what the conversations I've been having, what I'm seeing, there's a bit of a winding down a little bit on that side, okay? So really, just start really thinking through, how do I build my business outside of that world, but still stay very well connected to the opportunities that do exist? So that's a bit of the challenge. But what I will say on the upside, what I'm seeing, is that some of these same organizations and government entities are working really hard to do business with small business owners in a way that I hadn't seen before. I've been working for years on the idea of some sort of B2B opportunities, and there's people in this room that have done it. There's people in this room who are on the agency side of connecting small business owners with corporate contracts and procurement opportunities. There's more of an appetite for that today than I've ever seen since I've been in the city of Chicago. And so I encourage everyone, do the things you need to do to remain visible to these large buyers that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars annually on goods and services. Think of how you can position yourselves for that. And some of that is just really owning your product in your space, doing everything you can to make sure that you are fundamentally sound as a business owner, making sure you're getting certifications where necessary, whether you're a women business owner, veteran business owner, diverse business owner, get everything you can in place so that when you do respond to that RFP, or if you do get into an organization's program, you're ready for it. So that's only part of the collaborative and partnership opportunity that I want to talk about. The other side is really fun, because it involves everybody in this room. If you look around, there's so much power and potential in this room right now. I encourage everyone to continue to work together. There has been a large movement towards collaborative opportunities, between partnerships, co-branding opportunities around like-mindedness. If you see a partner that you want to work with, if you think that there's an opportunity to mutually benefit each other, that together you either can promote each other's products or create something new where there's synergy, I encourage you to do it. I see businesses building their brands around that activity and also through what they're doing by marketing and communicating outwardly. So I encourage everyone, find ways to collaborate around co-branding. Find ways to collaborate around social initiatives that you're passionate about. Build that into the DNA of your business. People will relate to you. They relate to that. They know when someone's being authentic and that they can see that as part of your culture all the way through, they'll gravitate to what you're doing. So find something that you're passionate about. Find things that your teams are passionate about that you feel equipped to be part of. And then lastly, around this collaborative idea, I encourage each of you to find ways to share costs and expenses. I know sometimes we think, well, I just got to stay focused on what I'm doing, but there's a danger of being siloed in only your project. Find individuals, especially if you're getting started, but even later, where you can share some resources, where you can share physical space, where you can share back office services, where you can limit the cost that's involved, but still getting high quality that comes along with it. Share partners in any sort of way. If you need to order supplies, find ways to order in a collective way, not necessarily a true co-op form, but just do it on your own so that you can bring your costs down and still benefit from the price reductions. Be creative in how you do your collaboration. I have two last things that I want to talk about. One really is this ever-changing marketplace. Our marketplace changes, and it's changing at such a rapid pace that it takes ongoing insights and efforts to really stay on top of it. My encouragement for the group is to stay aware, stay informed, whether that means technology, the right ways and channels, the different omni-channels to be reaching clients, whatever it may be aware. But don't become consumed with it, right? Obviously, we watch technology change at a rapid pace, and it's great. Embrace technology's not going anywhere. For anyone here who's not really a fan, build it into your business. But do not become so dependent on the technology itself that you lose sight of your core business. You all offer something great. Technology is the tool that allows you to deliver that value to your customers in different ways. That could be the content that you share, that could be the great advice that you're delivering, and it also is the product and service that you allow your customers to access in an easy way. So please keep that in mind. And then one other thing about Marketplace I want to really emphasize. Starting a business and sustaining a business is challenging. We're watching restaurants downtown shut down that have been around for 15, 20 years. It's not easy. Some businesses are having more challenges than others. But think through the different ways that you want to engage customers. It's probably not one single channel anymore, and it hasn't been for a while. It's multi-channel, it's omni-channel. You have to find and connect your physical space, your online space, your mobile space, everything, and the experience needs to be seamless, right? That's what people are looking for, and that's fine, and you can do it. In the areas where you don't feel confident in, reach out. There's somebody in this room right now who can help you with your digital efforts that you're trying to do, right? Network, talk to people, ask for help. You can find the answers to the things that you need to do. And then lastly, I want to talk about something that's important to everyone. If you run a business at some point, you're thinking about, how do I finance my venture? Okay, so this is going to look different for different industries, different size businesses, different stages, and where you live. But regardless, you have to fund it by some means. I always encourage people to start with yourself. Begin closest to yourself and then start expanding outwardly. And depending, again, what you're doing, that pace will look very different. The size and type of capital will look different. But start with yourself. If I'm talking to my younger self who's starting a venture, I'm telling myself, save your own money. Put money aside to get started. You probably and perhaps won't be able to fund the entire growth or even the launch of your business, but it's nice to be able to have some control, especially on those early stages. If you can put enough money to the side to begin with, it gives you an opportunity to kind of build that initial runway to get going, to build that prototype, to have that initial launch, to test your product, gain some traction, and that opens up so many more doors. Now you can walk into an organization like ours, even though we fund at the very early stage, but if you want to work with a bank, if you want to eventually work perhaps with an angel investor, they want to know what have you done so far. And being your first investor is a great way to also retain as much equity of your business as you can. I am a believer in working with investors, working with banks, working with partners, friends, and family when it makes sense. But it's nice to be able to maintain ownership of your business as long as possible. And nobody's going to believe in your business more than you do. Okay? I believe in everyone in here. I promise you, your passion, the thing that you wake up thinking about in the morning, will drive your business to success. Okay? So you are your number one fan, and you need to remain that way. So also be the first person to invest in your own business, and then seek support in different ways as you continue to evolve and to grow. So with that, in closing, I would just want to encourage everyone, because I do deeply, deeply believe in the spirit and the opportunity of entrepreneurship. Always seek and identify that opportunity. Describe for yourself and for others that solution to meet that opportunity, that need, and go ahead and test your idea. Get it out in the market, test it, believe in yourself, listen, learn, and continue to iterate. And with that, I'm happy to take as many questions as you have.
Thank you so much, Rowan. So we're going to go into our question and answer portion. We have about 15 minutes, and then we're all going to co-mingle with everyone else together. But I did want to ask one question as everyone is kind of thinking about theirs. Is first off, 100%. Everything you said is like nail on the head. Couldn't have said it better myself, Rowan.
She could.
And so my question to you is, over the past 6 months, what are the biggest mistakes you've seen entrepreneurs make that have made that you would want us to kind of keep in mind to possibly avoid?
Yeah, definitely. 6 months, and then even maybe a little bit earlier, I'd say the biggest mistakes have been just not being prepared. Right, so whether it was during this whole grant season and ongoing grants that are continuing and new opportunities, I see businesses that on the surface, they look fantastic, right? They have a really good product, but behind the scenes, their operations are just not in good shape. Their books aren't clean, right? So everyone, at some point, people are looking at your books. They want to look at your financials and they're like, okay, show us what do you have? If you can't provide clean, accurate data, that's going to put everything on pause. Now, the opportunity still may exist, but it's going to take time to get back to the table with that group. So I say that's probably the number one thing that I've seen where I consider it a mistake, because the work wasn't done at the front end to make sure that that business would be in line and good position to really capture that opportunity.
Great. Any questions? Raise of hands. One over there. There's a mic coming to you.
Oh, okay, no touching. Do you have a current favorite mantra or motto that you repeat to yourself that keeps you motivated, just like over and over in your head, like plenty of time, plenty of money, something like that?
Was that plenty of money?
Plenty of time, plenty of money. Don't worry. Do you have a motto?
Yeah, I mean, I think I personally, I do a lot of self-talk for sure. You know, I would say if I had to kind of sum up my overall mantra, it would be just keep going. I mean, that's been my lifelong mantra. We've all have hit many walls and hurdles. Mantra to myself is just keep going. Keep going, keep going. That's it. And what makes it easier is try to break it down into really short periods of time. The big picture is out there. I always cast a vision for myself. It's a great reminder, keeps you motivated. But then you pull it back into like these short iterations. Just win this today. Then we'll take care of the next one.
Rowan, you've started and guided, and hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
You've helped so many businesses in New York City, Chicagoland, and beyond. Do you think there's anything that our city and Chicagoland in general is particularly, what is this ecosystem, what thrives here? Because you've seen so much. And in terms of grants, is there anything, I don't want to ask too much, but what's this ecosystem best for from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up on the East Coast for sure, and it has its own thing. I've spent a little bit of time on the West Coast. I think Chicago in particular is the place of all places to build an entrepreneurial community. I've said this time and time, absolutely. There's no better place. There's so much resiliency and strength in Chicagoland area, the Midwest, really. But definitely I spend so much time here in the Chicagoland area that I'm so impressed. It's a tough town. If you can survive and build here, you've got it. You've got it won. Absolutely. There's great models here. There's a wide range of industries that are successful in this area. Our organization works with a lot of food and beverage. Obviously, the roots here around food and beverage are unbelievable, undeniable. People travel for the food in this area, and that's across everything, restaurants, CPG, catering, you name it. I think it's where I would send somebody. Somebody wanted to learn, what does it look like to do a food, come here. I would send them here. I know people would disagree with me, but the combination of just learning how to run a business, probably having to really grind your way up through it, and access to great examples, to me, is why I would send people here. But service businesses, I'm seeing a lot of logistics. The digital market has exploded. If you're a tech business and you're not connected with Innovation DuPage, if you're not connected with 1871, run right now, go. You have resources, they're incredible. And those are two of the best that I've seen in the area, for sure. Either right here and then there, please.
Hi. So question just for businesses that you feel like you've kind of got a proof of concept developed and you're ready to scale.
Yeah.
What's some of your guidance for the best things to be thinking about at that stage?
All right, so you've gotten to the point where you're feeling really good, proof of concept is there. Absolutely. I would say at that point, you start identifying, okay, where are the channels where I feel like I could be most successful, right? And then you start really pushing. Think about those products. You've tested it, you have this idea, you know what's sold well so far, just start doubling down on that. Don't stretch yourself. This is not the time to start getting 50 different SKUs. Really focus on those 2, 3, 5, whatever products that you have in mind, and really start pushing it, making sure, of course, that your operations is so solid. The last thing we want is for you to explode either, direct to consumer or working through a retail channel, and all of a sudden you don't have the infrastructure to support that. That's the last thing you want. That sounds like success. All of a sudden you got 10,000 units ordered, but then you can't deliver. That could ruin you. Or at a minimum, it's going to delay you. So I would say really lock in on the 1, 2, 3 things that you feel the best about. Make sure your operations are solid. And then just think about what are those channels that I want to really hit hard. Once you have success there, then you can start expanding. And you can go both ways. You can think about other channels, same product line, or you say same channel, more product through that same channel. It really depends on what you're doing. Yeah.
Hi there. I'm a journalist by trade, and I started a PR company a couple of years ago. So I can write a press release, I can pitch, I can connect people, but the business side of it is so new to me. Okay. So, do you have advice on what's the first thing that a new business should do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, great example. You have experience and success in what you've done. Now you're trying to take all of that and bring it into a business model. And I speak with a lot of people who are in that position, and I'm always like, wow, you're so talented. You're going to crush it. But it truly is a challenge to leap from what you've done into pulling into a business. So like anyone else, I would say start with identifying the challenge /need/market opportunity. Like, just sit down and think, like, where's the opportunity here? And it's built around what you already do, right? So if you think about the work that you've done already, why did people hire you? Why did you have this role, this position? Those same needs and value exchanges still exist. Now, it's really about shifting and finding out, like, who's my customer at this time? Who needs that very thing? So I would spend time at the very beginning thinking about the opportunity, spend time on identifying your customer, and get as specific as you possibly can. Where does she live? Where does he like to play and have recreation? What do they buy? Spend time, know this person, and then start formulating what your offering is. Doesn't have to be technical at first. Just get those ideas out, and then you can start thinking about next layer out. How do I price this? What will it cost to deliver this? And the cost for what you're talking about is mainly going to be you and your time, but as you build out a team, perhaps there's some other costs. Start there, and then just sit back and kind of look at it. Like, okay, do I have something here? Is there a true opportunity? Do I have a solution that meets said opportunity? And can I price this at a level that makes sense for me to say, yeah, I can run a business and it will be profitable? So that's where I would start.
Anyone have a last question? We'll take one last question.
So you mentioned that you were in corporate, right? And so you were trying to figure out...
Loosely corporate. So my background was sports management, trading. Okay. That's not corporate, not the trading I was doing, and then a few other things.
You were working not in the entrepreneurial field, right?
Exactly.
So was there a prompt, a driver, a trigger when you knew, hey, look, it's time to make that shift?
Yeah.
I've done, this time in sports management, trading, but now I'm entering into this different territory. If you could speak a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. For me, it probably was super direct and pretty clear. I feel very fortunate. So I moved to Chicago to start a career in trading, which I did for about 10 years. I traded in a firm downtown for about 10 years. At the very beginning of that experience, I was in my 20s, I had zero responsibilities, right? So I have all this free time. I got pulled into doing a lot of volunteer work in Chicago, specifically in what was then the Cabrini Green neighborhood. That brought me to volunteering and tutoring and coaching. But while that was happening, I was building relationships. And what I recognized was, wow, I sit here in between this one world where endless opportunity through the capital markets. And I'm spending my afternoon with individuals who are just trying to figure out how to feed themselves for the day. And that was the spark for me. Like, what do we do? How do I come up with a solution? I think the entrepreneur in me was kind of reignited. And from there, I started thinking of how do I utilize and use capital and the business community and really the principles to affect change in communities that I'm serving. And I've been on that journey ever since. So I've started multiple ventures. I ran an incubator. I've stood up some small funds, all leading up to the work that I do at Allies for Community Business. And it's been an amazing journey. But for me, I say I'm fortunate because I had these moments where I had already started something while I was trading, so that when I felt it was time, I could just easily pivot into this organization that I had already started. But there was that driver for me from the very beginning. Yeah. All good? All right.
Thank you so much, Rowan. So we're going to do some housekeeping, and then you can go and join the larger group of the party. So first, I want to say thank you to our co-hosts, the City of Elmhurst. I don't know if you know this, but there's 3 brew points in Elmhurst, and I don't know if we would have been as successful if it wasn't in the City of Elmhurst. So I do want to put that plug, and I want to put the specific plug to Heather. She's been a great co-host, just essentially letting us really go as far as we can with an event like this. So hit up the welcome table. If you're curious about opening a business in Elmhurst, talk to her. Make sure you go and visit the Allies for Community business table as well. Talk to Rowan, talk to Amanda. A couple other things to note is that we have 4 resource tables. So essentially what that is you can sign up for small 10-minute slots with legal, HR, branding and marketing, and finance. There we go. All 4. So it's up there near the welcome table. You have about 10-minute slots that you can sign up for. If you have burning questions with any of those topics, our experts are up there to talk with you. Other than that, if there's still some food and drinks left, grab it and enjoy the night. Actually, one last thing. We are putting together a list of everyone with their businesses. So if you were able to bypass the welcome table initially, please go back and sign in and put your business name with those at the welcome table so you can be a part of our larger welcome list. Thank you, everyone.